Welcome to Chatterbox Besties with Brenda and Ricky. We're two besties sharing news, gift ideas, and lifestyle hacks to turn your ordinary days into a 10 plus. So today we're talking about Mahjong. And did you know that this week is actually International Mahjong Week? I just heard about that and I was like, oh my God, the stars are aligned. And here we are celebrating by talking all things Mahj with our special Mahjong expert today, which we're so excited. And we're excited to bring you this brand new episode. So happy Mahj Week, and stay tuned also to Chatterbox Besties because we are going to be unveiling a very fun Mahjong Bestie event, which is coming up soon. So we're super excited about that as well. But before we move into our interview today, we want to tell you about something really special that we launched just for you, all of our listeners. Many of you have reached out to us and you've asked, is there a better way to be immediately notified when a new podcast episode has dropped? And so we're doing it. So beyond social media, which is our biggest way of notifying our guests, we've launched what's called our Chatterbox Besties Inner Circle, where you personally will receive an email when the latest episode has dropped. So we'll be notifying you also first when we host events. And as I said, we have some things coming up and our events are always limited. So do sign up if you're, so that you are notified, and you can join for free. You just click on the Chatterbox Bestie Inner Circle link, which you will find in the show notes. And it's also on our Chatterbox Besties Instagram in our link in bio. And I know many of you have signed up already because you've seen that on our Instagram. So, so we're excited about that. And Ricky, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what's going on?
Well, first of all, if you're listening today, thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate every one of you. And another way to make sure that you're notified on your next episode is to make sure you hit follow on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. It's all free. So please hit follow. I know I already said that, but I'm going to say it again. It's on the main page of the podcast. It really helps us spread the word to other listeners just like you. And once again, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all your support. We really appreciate everything that you do, and we love your feedback. So thank you.
Great. So Ricky, you and I have been sort of talking and obsessing over Mahjong the past few weeks. Well, I've been obsessing, and now Ricky has come on board, and we really have so much to share. And so for me, I've been playing very sporadically. I learned prior to COVID. I have some very kind and patient friends who invited me to play, and they taught me kind of as we played. And I was kind of excited, and then it was COVID, and so nobody was playing anymore. Nobody was playing games, much less sitting in the same room. So kind of a bummer, and that was the end of that for me for a while. And then very recently, a friend of mine who has played forever, she just started informally teaching her friends. And so she taught a few of us the actual from scratch rules and the details that I didn't even know. So I realized how much you don't know what you don't know. So I really learned a lot, and it was so helpful. She encouraged us to play online, all the things. I still don't play regularly, but I'm really motivated to do it, and I'm going to do that this year. I'm going to add that to my vision board, which I do every year. So this is going to be my second half of the year goal for me. So I'm super excited. And Ricky, thank you for coming along the Mahj ride with me. I know you've never played, but now I think you have the bug before you've even started. So
Yes, I'm a total newbie. But it seems like everyone is talking about Mahjong, everyone. So Brenda had me order the card, which I know you have to go to the only source that sells these cards. And I really thought I was in some third world country that was some kind of spam something. I'm still
yeah,
waiting for my
the
card.
spam website that you don't think is real. I had that too.
Exactly.
And I thought it wasn't real. I ordered a card from Amazon. I brought it to like a game and they're like, that's not the right card. I'm like, well, what do you mean? It says, it says 2026. Like they're like, yeah, no, like you got to order it from the one spammy site. So yeah,
And you cannot copy
I
the
warned
card.
Ricky.
Yes, and you cannot copy someone's card because that's totally frowned upon as well. So I'm learning the rules before I even know how to play. My youngest daughter has been playing regularly and just won 2 games, and she's
Yay!
now into it. As I said, no matter who you talk about, or you follow the sites and you go, they play Mahjong, they play Mahjong. I mean, everyone is talking about it. So yes, I do want to learn, and I'm so excited for today's episode. So Brenda, tell us about the rules and everything.
Yeah, well, I have to say a side note when you said everybody's playing, and this week on Jimmy Fallon, who I actually really love, my husband's like, "What do you like about him?" I'm like, "He's just so cute and fun and light and like a great way to end your night." He talked about mahjong this week. I just about
Oh,
died. He had like a little exchange with one of his band members who was like debating him about mahjong versus like Rummikub, and Jimmy Fallon was
yeah.
like, "Yeah, dude, you're not on the bandwagon. Like it's mahjong, and like I'm even learning." So I'm like, "Oh my god! Like a guy is learning. Like the guys are going to encroach on our on our game." So I just thought that was so funny. But yeah, as you said, Ricky, there are lots of rules. The card changes every year. I need to buy my own set. I don't have a set. I mean, there's so much to talk about here. So today's guest, Jamie Dalton. Hi, welcome.
Hi,
She,
Brenda and Ricky.
Hi.
she's the co-founder of Gold Coast Mahjong. And Jamie and her team together are helping redefine what Mahjong looks like for a new generation through fun first lessons, which we love, ranging from community events all the way to luxury retreats. She was recently at Canyon Ranch, which is so fun. How fun is that? She's a former commercial real estate banker and a mother of two from Darien, Connecticut. Jamie first learned Hong Kong Mahjong as a way to reconnect with her Chinese heritage. And she says by accident, she discovered American Mahjong. And that was a twist that completely changed the trajectory of her life. And today, Gold Coast Mahjong has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, in the Connecticut Insider, the Darien New Canaan magazine, and she recently taught real estate mogul and Netflix star Ryan Serhant how to play. I definitely want to hear about that. And her mission is really simple. It's to honor the rich history of the game while creating unforgettable experiences where fun comes first and there's always a seat at the table. And we really loved Jamie when we met her because in addition to her experience and her roots with the game, her fun first mission really struck a chord with Ricky and me. And we so align with you on that at Chatterbox Besties. And we knew you were the perfect person for us to interview. And I just have to say a side note, speaking of fun, can we just talk a little bit about that book bag? I recently saw on your Instagram that Wall Street Journal article was printed on like a book bag. So tell us about that.
Well, so we were featured in the Wall Street Journal a few months ago, and the person that came to interview us, his name is Jamie, also Jamie
Oh,
Waters,
cool.
and he came to our retreat. So he did the whole thing, learned from start to finish, like left as a mahjong player.
Yay.
Came to one of our retreats at the Mayflower Inn in Washington, Connecticut, and they published the article, and he actually was the one that found that picture. Somebody had the article made into a
Aw.
bag. I'm like, I need to go buy one of those because I don't know, where to
I mean,
get it.
he should have given you one of those. Like, that's
Well, I
crazy.
don't think it was his. Somebody
Oh,
said got it in the wild.
oh, like somebody just
Oh,
Got
out
it in
there
the
made one.
wild.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, I should have saved that article because I did read that. That would be so fun.
Definitely the link of who made it. So I actually have a couple. Obviously, I bought a few um,
Copies.
copies of it, maybe if more than a few. And so I'll get one made. I'll have to
Yeah, more than a few, like a stack. It's like when your kids are in high school sports and you just buy, and they're in the newspaper, you're like buying like 20 copies.
I know. now. So my parents actually bought a few copies and gave some back to me because they're like, what are we going to do with like 20 copies? So I'll get a bag made for all of us. We'll get together.
You guys should. I think it's so cute. So
What a
Yeah.
great idea.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it was definitely like a pinch me moment when we were in the Wall Street Journal because we were not even in business for a year yet. So he had reached out to us, Jamie Waters had reached out to us just saying that he wanted to
Wow.
interview us because, you know, the craze is so big that now there are retreats. People are actually spending a few days to play Mahjong. So he just wanted to learn what it was all about. And he was so fun to, help he didn't know anything about Mahjong. So he actually learned American and Chinese Mahjong.
Oh, cool.
And so it was fun. Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, I have to say we're so excited to get you today because if you've never picked up a Mahjong tile or if you've been playing for years, which many have, we're going to be exploring where Mahjong came from, how it became an American favorite, why so many people come for the game, but they stay for the friendships. And what a great combination of things. I mean, I think people are looking for connections. Mahjong's definitely experiencing an incredible resurgence across the country. We're going to deep dive into the why and how it's bringing our communities together. And it's around a game that's filled with strategy, tradition, and of course, our mantra today is fun, 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 fun. And that's been around, and now it's suddenly being embraced by so many. So let's start chatting. Can you tell us a little about yourself and how Mahjong became part of your life?
Yeah, so I am half Chinese. My mom was actually born in Taiwan and half Slovenian, which is an interesting mix. I grew up in Middletown, Connecticut, heavy Italian community, so a little bit different. And as a kid, I do remember I wasn't necessarily embarrassed by my heritage, but I knew my mom like looked different. And I think when you're growing up, you just so badly want to like fit in, whether that's and I know that's so superficial to want to fit in like
You're a
physically
kid.
appearance, but you're a kid and you just want to fit in.
Yeah.
Sure.
And but as you grow older and wiser, you realize how important your heritage is. And I really started to embrace that like in college. And then as I was getting older, like I was so curious about when I would go visit my grandmother, all these things that she had from China, I'd be curious about it. And I remember seeing her playing mahjong with her siblings. And so I just got more curious about who I was. And so I think it was really important too for me to also show my kids. So I have two kids. I have a son and a daughter, 6 and 4. And I married a Jewish husband. And so we have all these different mixes of culture. And I really wanted to embrace how can we share our culture with them. So Mahjong kind of was that spark for me to get to play something with my Chinese grandmother, but also share something with my children. So it's a little bit about me.
Love it.
Wow. Do you remember your first game?
I do. So while I was kind of in the self-discovery mode, it was very serendipitous. My one of the kids in my one of my kids, they went to school with one of their friends, and the mother asked me, I would love to like learn Chinese mahjong. And she doesn't necessarily have any Chinese background, but she asked me, and I was like, of course, like that's actually something that's been on my bucket list. I would love to learn. And I've been meaning to learn, but I just didn't find, you have to find 4 people. And so the most challenging thing about mahjong we always joke about is finding 4 people at the
Sure.
same time to
Yes.
play. So she said, I found a great Hong Kong mahjong instructor in Greenwich, which is the town next door to Darien where I live.
Okay.
And so we hosted the lessons in each of our houses. We took turns, and we took 4 2-hour private lessons to learn Hong Kong mahjong. So the scoring for Hong Kong mahjong is very, it's an open-ended scoring, very elaborate. And that's actually where Hong Kong mahjong people think it's easier, but actually when you get into the scoring aspect of it, it's actually very complicated. And And so we took 4 2-hour private lessons. And I remember that first game, when you get your first mahjong, you are like instantly hooked.
Yeah.
So if you're
So
watching
true.
somebody, you don't really get it, but when you get your first mahjong, you are like hooked. So we played a couple rounds. I think everyone got a turn in winning, and you are just instantly hooked, and you get that high. And you know what I'm talking about, Brenda, because if
Yes,
you've
that little dopamine hit, like, oh, I could do this. Yay.
and even today, right? Even like years later playing, I still get that same high when I say mahjong.
Love,
I
love.
got that high on that first game. So yes, I remember it. Um, the person that stacked their tiles. So in Chinese mahjong, you also stack in 19 across
Okay.
and 2 high, like American mahjong. But a lot of the Hong Kong version, it's very fast. It's more fast moving than American. And I remember the instructor said, okay, whoever can stack, so 19, you hold like the 19 tiles across, like tight, and you stack one on the other. Whoever can do it in one pass. So basically, you're
Wow.
holding 19 tiles,
Okay.
stacking it on the other 19. Whoever can do that gets these mahjong socks. And I was the first one to be able to do that. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a natural. And I got my like new mahjong socks. So that's
That's
what I
so
remember.
cute. I love that.
Made it really fun doing that. So yeah.
So, was there a time or a moment when you realized that Mahjong was more about winning? More, well, it was much more than
Well,
just winning. I mean, we love the winning aspect, don't get me wrong. I love the dopamine hit,
I
but
kept telling you I loved that part of it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think almost immediately you get that sense. So it is so hard for 4 adults to commit to meeting
Yeah, so true.
each other. Like so many times I've had dinner plans with friends and somebody cancels last minute, or you kind of secretly hope someone cancels so you can stay in, but like
Or something comes up, you know?
yeah. But even though you like actually need to be out, right? Because every time you go out, you're just like, oh my God, I feel so much better, even though it took so much effort to
Sure.
ready and
So
get a
true.
babysitter. And but mahjong, because it requires 4 players, if you don't show up, you are letting down 3 of your friends, right? So
Oh,
that
good point.
accountability factor is so it's so important. And you even last night we had our league, and someone's like, oh my God, I'm going to be a little bit late, but I know like 3 other players are waiting for me. I'm going to show up. And it is an accountability like I've never seen for adults.
More than
And
exercise.
yeah, it's just like you don't want to let somebody else down. Like sometimes
Sure.
you let
Right.
yourself down, but you're like, I'm not going to let somebody else down.
True.
So yes, like almost immediately, like all my friends will show up for a mahjong game. Will we all show up for dinner? No, but we'll show up for a mahjong game. So it's that sense of like
I
community,
love that.
connection. You show up when you're feeling, sometimes I'm feeling more introverted some days, and sometimes I'm feeling more extroverted. There's a game that kind of can balance all that out, and
Yeah,
it'll
Love.
take you however you feel that day.
love it.
And that's what I love about it. Like sometimes at dinner, I have to like, really turn it up. For an introvert, I'm like, this is a lot for me right now. I had a really tiring day. Where mahjong, it's like, you know what? I'm just going to play the game today. I'm not going to talk too much, let other people
Yeah.
talk, and you're still present.
And
So
there's 3 other people to pick up the slack, so
exactly.
it's fine.
Yeah,
Love
exactly. Yeah.
Great. Well, Mahjong seems to really be everywhere right now. So why do you think it's having such a resurgence?
Yeah. I try not to give that standard, like, oh, because of COVID, because I feel like that's such a, where everybody lives. But
Yeah, it's probably more
um,
than that. Or
I
yeah.
think it's so much more than that. And I think the game has had these like peaks and valleys of
Okay.
when it's popular and not. But I think, yes, COVID did help because we were realizing, that we needed connection and that it was
Hmm.
critical to like our well-being. But I also think that we're in this like digital age that we're so connected to our phones. So like instead of seeing our friends, we're in a group chat,
Right.
or we're
Right.
like talking to AI instead of like connecting in real life. And I think all of that kind of combined has really helped move this game forward. And also, because you need 4 people, you're inviting other people, and it's kind of this like snowball effect where
Yeah.
you're oh, I feel like I'm missing out. I need to learn the game. And
Absolutely.
like slowly migrating up north. I feel like it kind of trickled up north. And, I went to Maine for vacation the other day, and I was like talking to somebody at the nail salon about Mahjong, and she's like, I've never heard of it. It's like, what, it hasn't made its way up to Maine yet, but you'll be next. So
It's getting
Yeah.
there. So
so
for listeners and even like for your nail tech, like if they've never
yeah,
played. So tell us how would you describe, like, what is Mahjong? Give us like a couple sentences of what
yeah.
it is.
Mahjong is a tile-based strategy game that mixes skill and luck, and its origins are traced back to China. And people liken the game to basically like Western rummy, like the Western game of rummy,
Yes.
the card game.
Perfect.
People liken that. So if you have played rummy before, often when we're teaching mahjong, people are like, "Oh my gosh, this reminds me of rummy."
Mm-hmm.
So that idea, but
Yeah.
with tiles.
Yes.
Love
Yes.
that.
With the suits and all that.
Mhm.
And so what do historians actually know about its beginnings? I find it so interesting. I mean, I even heard that it was first played by men, which I had no idea about. So tell us a little bit about the history.
Yeah, so their historians, I think, have basically agreed that it's actually a fairly new game when you look at history. So about 150 years old.
Okay.
The origins they trace back to like the mid to late 1800s in China, specifically like the Shanghai and the Yangtze River Delta areas.
Okay.
And they were in more of these like larger cities.
Okay.
And more with like the elite, because the tiles are made out of like bamboo and bone, and so they're more of an expensive like material. Today they're made out of like acrylic materials. um and so it became really popular in these cities, and then eventually spread in China in the early 1900s. And then in China, there were American businessmen, expats, and um, like marketers, and they basically brought this game over to America in the early 1900s, and really everyone traces it back to Joseph P. Babcock bringing it over to America. So he was working for Standard Oil in China, brought
Interesting.
brought a tile game over, and Westerners or America, we were crazed by this exotic, like an exotic Asian
Yeah.
tile. And that's what kind of sparked it. Felt elite and special and like mysterious, because there's these Chinese characters on it. And he actually put numbers, like English numbers on it.
Oh, he added that. Okay.
He added that, and he came up with his own like rule book, where that's where that spelling mahjong, MAH hyphen JONGG,
Oh, wow.
he
Okay.
actually branded that name.
Okay.
um, and so in the 1920s, it became like a very popular game. And the Charleston, we think of the dance, the Charleston,
Yeah.
Sure.
that's also part of the game. Dancing
Oh,
tiles, they call it like the dancing of tiles. It became popular in
okay.
the 20s. The Charleston was a popular dance. And
Interesting.
I know, Ricky, you haven't played yet, but there's a portion of the game called the Charleston, and you pass tiles, and it kind of feels like dancing a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
so they
It
make it
does.
after. And so then the craze got really popular because he worked with the Parker brothers, who is now Hasbro.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
So they were a retailer that really kind of picked up the game in terms of like manufacturing the game.
Wow.
And the other little fun fact I love to talk about is Abercrombie and Fitch. They were a huge like sporting goods, like
Right.
a luxury sporting goods
Yeah.
Sure.
company back then. People don't know that because they think of Abercrombie like, the
Right.
cool
Clothing.
retail
The
store.
Sure.
clothing.
Sure.
Yeah.
But back then it was a sporting good. So they were actually one of the larger retailers back then to really help promote and market this game. And they sold out very quickly, and they would send people back to China to bring over more sets.
Wow.
Um, So it was originally, I think it got really popular in the 1920s because very like socialites would play it, actors would play it. Um, they noted that a president had played. You know, it was kind of like now
Yeah.
where you see all these
It's trendy and
cards,
you want to get in on it. Yeah.
everyone wants, and then eventually they made more affordable sets where people could play it. And then I guess it died down a little bit after the 1920s. And because I think people were kind of still playing a little bit different sorts of variations of the game. And then in 1937, the National Mahjong League formed, and it was a group of
Mhm.
Jewish men in New York City that basically came together and tried to formalize the rules. And that is where this card came from. So 1937 was the first card.
Oh,
Um,
cool. You have that.
and so this is not the original card, but
Oh,
this
I
is
was like, is that the original?
so the original card. Actually, somebody showed me one, and they were really tiny. They were really tiny
Oh,
cards.
wow.
So
Now
yeah,
people
so
can't see, so they have the supersized version.
I always tell my students never buy the standard, buy the large
Oh,
because
okay. Okay.
so then yeah, in 1937 they came up with basically how we play American Mahjong today. And there's a new card that comes out every year, and they publish that. And in April we received the new card. So it's a little bit
And
of history.
why do they let's see, why is there a new card every year? And I feel like I was starting to get a handle of the card last year, and then I got this year's, and this year seems like so hard. Why do they do a new card? Just to keep it varied, or
Yeah, so there's a couple things. So the National Mahjong League, when we play American, we get a new card every year. And I just want to quickly talk about the Hong Kong version. So there is
okay.
no card. The big difference is there's no card, there's no Charleston, there's no jokers in the Hong Kong
Oh,
version.
okay.
So the um the Hong Kong version is I have to use this analogy whenever I talk about it because I think it makes more sense. So it's more of an open-ended game, meaning you can pivot pretty easily as you're playing. So you're really trying to make melds like 1, 2, 3, like sequences 1, 2, 3, or 3, 4, 5 in the same suit, or pungs, and then there's one set of eyes, which is a pair. And so, meaning you have a lot of flexibility, right, of what you're
Mm-hmm.
playing. As you get things, you can change. And I say it feels like you're building blocks, like you can kind of build as you go along. Where the American version, which uses 8 less tiles because we have, sorry, 8 more tiles because they have jokers. They I liken it to more of a puzzle because you're having to try to figure out your hand and which puzzle are you going to solve here. And so it's fixed, right? Like the lines that you are going to try to achieve are fixed. And so for somebody that's played multiple years, you would get bored. You would get bored of
Yeah,
this.
I see. Okay.
By
Makes
the end
sense.
of it, I've like memorized, by the end of the year, I've almost memorized the
Those are
card
playing so often. Okay.
so often. And so it helps you with the pattern recognition, new pattern. Keeps it exciting. Like people are so eager by the end, like in March. They're like, I can't wait for the new card. It's like
Okay,
new,
good. Good.
you know. So yeah. But also there's charity involved in this. So I should talk about that. The National Mahjong League. The reason it's so important to buy from the National Mahjong League is because a good portion of the proceeds go to different charities.
Oh, I didn't even know
Oh,
that. Okay.
like what kind of charities? Do they choose
They
them
have
or?
on their website. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
different charities. And I think if you buy like a certain amount of cards, you can actually, as like a subscriber. So when you buy a card to become a member of, you'll see like when you log in every
Yeah.
year, it'll say you're an existing member,
Yeah.
and you get this like little newsletter once a year, and it'll say in the newsletter who they've donated to that year. So
Oh, okay.
I discourage people buying on Amazon because actually then you're not giving to the charitable organizations too.
And
So
it's the wrong card.
yes, actually, it's funny. There's good fakes and bad fakes. We tell
Okay.
people like, not that I've never bought a fake, but when people bring them, I can tell they're fakes. They'll usually, to get away with the copyright issues, they misprint one of the lines.
Oh,
So you know,
Okay.
you'd be wrong in playing one of the lines, but you'd have to figure out which line they misprinted. But yeah.
Okay, so this is so interesting. I understand. So there are tiles, which are like suits and all the other tiles. Tell us about the meaning. I find it so fascinating, and I don't know if a lot of people really know that.
The meaning of the tiles.
Yes.
Yeah. So we actually, so in American Mahjong, some of the tile names have been shortened, and I've read that it's also for the speed of the game, just so you can say it a little bit faster when
Oh,
your name's.
okay. I see.
So like the tile that has a Chinese character on it, in American Mahjong, we call it crack, CRAK. So you take away the C,
Hmm.
CRAK. And what you will see on the tile is the actual Chinese numbers. So like at the top, there's usually like a black portion of the tile and then a
Right.
red portion. The black portion is saying what the actual number is. So if the tile is a one crack, that little line that you see at the top is one in Chinese. Or and then below you'll see the same character on every tile, and that's 10,000 yuan. So it means 10,000 in Chinese. So I the character suits or the cracks are basically representative of like old Chinese money cards. And so
Okay.
that's so like the 1, 2, 3, 4, it's actually saying like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. So like old money cards. So actually all the tiles have something to do with money and prosperity. Like in
Interesting.
China,
Okay.
prosperity is a very
Wow.
big thing. So then the dots, which are traditionally called circles, the dots, often in a more traditional set, you'll see a circle with like a hole in the middle. They're
Right.
actually representative of Chinese currency and their coins. So they're like copper coin.
Oh.
So like the one would be like the one coin and then two. So there's two coins. And so a traditional set will literally have a circle with a hole in the middle. Obviously the sets now have gotten so elaborate that, it's just some sort of circular shape. And so that's the second suit. And then the third suit is bamboo. And in American Mahjong, we say BAMs. And they traditionally look like bamboos, but they're actually um, copper coins strung together. And they
Oh,
look like
wow. That's so
bamboo.
cool.
So they looked like bamboo. So Americans, we called it like bamboo. So now they look like bamboo figures. But on the one bamboo tile or one bam that we call it, there's actually always a picture of a bird sitting on
Yes.
a stick of bamboo. And that's representative of a sparrow. And mahjong is loosely translated in Chinese to sparrow. So mahjong,
Oh.
sparrow, and the bird on the one bam was traditionally a sparrow. And they say they picked a sparrow because sparrows eat bamboo and they thrive in bamboo environment. So it's kind of, honoring the game that we call sparrows.
Oh,
Why is the game called, after sparrows? Is because they think the clacking of the tiles when you're playing
Yeah.
sounds like sparrows.
Okay,
your
that
little
is so
feet.
cool. I'm like fascinated
So cool,
still,
right?
even more.
I like love the history of the game, and we always talk about it in our first 101 classes. We don't go into as much depth as we are on this podcast, but I think it's so important because you're looking at these tiles and to understand the meaning of them. I even say there's a lot of Jewish tradition too that we can talk about, but in the game that we really try to tie back into it as
Like
well.
what?
So
What are a couple things? I'm curious.
the Jewish tradition. So
Yeah.
they say, so there's something I don't play this, but I actually learned it from one of our retreat guests. Um, it's something called mush. Have you ever
Okay.
played
I don't
mush?
know what
It's
that is.
a
No.
mush rule. So when we teach, we always teach the traditional National Mahjong League rules just so that could play with anybody, right?
Yeah.
Because that was some of the problems why people weren't able to play with each other because everyone was playing their own versions. So we always teach, okay, this is the basic version that if you go to California and you want to play American Mahjong, you'll be able to play
It'll
with
be
them.
the same everywhere. Yeah.
Right. But then people, they're playing with their groups and there naturally becomes house rules. So like meaning you have your own little like traditions that you can
Okay.
add. So not for scoring purposes, right? But there's something called mush. And so I guess this is a very popular among Jewish like households or groups of friends that play together. But mush, I guess there's different variations of mush. But the idea is at the end of like the game, you just put in all the tile, like you can put as many tiles as you want that you don't like. And then you take back, so it's like a pile of junk from everybody. And then
Okay.
you take
Push.
back all the tiles. Like, if you put in 4 tiles, then you take 4 random tiles from the
Oh,
pile.
okay. You just mix it up, like shuffling all the tiles again and then just
Yeah.
grabbing
You
what
mush it together.
I like it. That's fun.
Then I've heard there's variations where you can also take from the wall like a new tile, so it keeps it like interesting.
Oh, that's so
So
cool.
that was a Jewish tradition I learned for house rule. And then another thing is they say, so now my business partner and I now get like get a manicure done because our hands are
Oh
always
yeah,
like
your hands are like out there.
always out. A lot of the Jewish ladies when they're playing, they love to show off their jewelry and manicures. So like the washing of the tiles, they like loved that because it would show off
Oh,
all the jewelry.
That's
Um,
great. That's
so
awesome.
so for someone like a newbie like me,
mhm.
what would my first game look like?
You'd be very overwhelmed. At first.
For
And
sure.
So just plan for that, right?
I
Plan
always
for
tell
that.
people like, okay, we are gonna go in and you are gonna maybe retain like 10% of this. Like it's gonna be like so
Okay.
overwhelming. And I think it's good for you to have that heads up because people go into it, am I just like not smart enough for this game? And it's like it's too much information. So you would expect to feel overwhelmed, but I usually say like 4 classes is like not classes, 2 classes is the magic number, and then playing 2 more times, maybe with a little guidance, you will feel pretty confident to play like a game on your own. So your first class, you are going to feel overwhelmed, one, because of the rules. There's a lot of little nuances with the rules, as Brenda could
Yeah.
probably
Oh
attest to.
yeah, I still don't know them all.
Yeah. There's so many.
So
And there's
many.
so many etiquette things too that aren't rules, but if you're playing with people, they want you to follow. So there's like etiquette involved, which is actually very interesting. So like a lot of our retreats, because so many people have been taught by different teachers, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that that was an etiquette thing." So they actually find that part fascinating, like learning the etiquette piece.
Yeah.
So you feel overwhelmed by the rules, and then you'd feel overwhelmed by learning this card that looks like a foreign language. And I tell
Yeah.
people it kind of is, obviously I'm oversimplifying, but it is kind of learning a language because it's not an intuitive thing to learn. You can't just like read a rule book. Though when you open this up, you think that certain colors mean certain things, and that's not at
Yes.
all what it means. So we say the game's not hard, it's just not intuitive. So once you learn the rules and learn how to read the card, then you're able to play. So it's overwhelming, but then when you get your first mahjong, I promise you, Ricky, you are going to be hooked.
So based on what you're saying, would people say it's difficult to learn, or is there a misconception about the whole thing? I'm kind of putting it all into one question, but
Yeah. It is not an intuitive game. So you ideally, unlike some other board games, you really kind of need an instructor or a friend to kind of walk you through it because there's so many different
Definitely.
little nuances. Yeah, there's little
okay.
nuances to rules that you kind of need the real life example to understand why that rule makes sense in that particular situation. So I'm sure you could watch videos and try to teach yourself, but I think it really helps having, and I'm not advocating necessarily an instructor, but even like a friend. In the beginning, I was never an instructor, I was just teaching friends.
Okay.
But yeah, I think people get intimidated and they're thinking, I'm not smart enough because I'm not good at numbers. It's actually not a numbers game at all. You don't need to know
Oh,
math.
I thought it was. That's so
You don't
interesting.
know math at all. It's pattern recognition.
Oh, whoa.
It's like 111, 222, 333. Like you see all these numbers. It's not about that at all. It's about recognizing a pattern. So yeah.
Okay.
Just kind of stick through that first class and struggle a little bit, but know that it's going to be worth it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's still intimidating, even though I've played like, a handful of times. So, question though, once you know the rules, what do you
Mhm.
think separates a good player from a great player?
So I think separating a good player from a great player is not just paying attention to your own hand, like having tunnel vision of your own hand.
Yes,
It's also
makes
really,
sense.
you're almost paying equally the amount of attention on your own hand as to what everybody else at the table is playing. Um, so there's portions of the game, and I'm trying to explain it in a way that someone that hasn't played.
Yeah,
So
of
there's
course.
Like me. The
Well,
dumb
we'll have
one.
everybody listening, experience
yeah.
versus not. So yeah.
So, like when you're playing a hand, I guess just really briefly, you play with 13 tiles, and your 14th tile makes your mahjong. So you win with 14
Right.
tiles, but you're playing with 13 throughout the
Right.
game.
Okay.
And so people get this tunnel vision of like, I'm going to try to match my tiles to one of the lines in the card. And they don't think about what anyone else is playing. But this is where the strategy piece of the game comes in, is just of the 152 tiles, every tile has 4 tiles. So like if there's 9 crack, there's 4 9 cracks. The exception to that is there's 8 jokers and there's 8 flowers. So it becomes a numbers game in that you will start seeing people discarding tiles or exposing tiles, meaning they have committed to a line and they're exposing a portion of the line that they're working on. And that's where paying attention to other people's hands comes into play, because if someone is exposing, say, 4 9 cracks, and you are going for a line with a 9 crack in it, and all of them are out, now you have to pivot. So, or you are trying to withhold tiles. So if you think that they're playing 9 cracks, I'm withholding my 9 cracks because I don't want them to get it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's of a game of trying to win your hand, but also play defensively so other people aren't winning.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what makes a great player, because if you're playing really defensively, you also, there's ways to win sometimes you want to force a wall game, which means nobody wins and you get
Right.
points for that versus losing. So there's different things like that. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Makes sense.
So in a way, it's kind of like gin, when you know that there's only 4x, whether it's an ace or a queen, you hold that back so that the other person can't make the line. Is that what you're
Right.
saying? Okay.
Exactly.
See, I'm picking up the lingo.
Yeah, so play gin. People say it's very similar concepts to that. They
Okay.
think it's harder, but it's similar concepts.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So
You're already halfway there, Ricky.
Yeah,
yeah, you are. You are.
I got the flowers and the cracks. I'm all set.
You're set. You're set. So let's talk about, so what's like a big strategic mistake that even experienced players make?
I mean, I'm tempted to do it all the time, but exposing or committing to a line too early is
Okay.
always. So like if someone calls an exposure, so someone calls a tile. So just briefly, if you discard a tile, anybody playing can call that tile, and there's only that one moment in time that you can call the tile until the next person draws a tile and racks. That tile now is no longer available throughout the whole game. It's called a dead tile. So I find though people get really excited and a tile goes out. So let's say I needed, again, 4 9 cracks and I only have one of them. And then I have like 2 jokers and I'm like, ooh, I could call that tile to complete my 4 9 cracks because I could use my 2 jokers and my 1 9 crack. While I know there are technically 2 more out there if I let that one pass.
Right.
People often want to use everything they have to complete an exposure early on, but that locks you in so early. And I say 9 out of 10 times, if you're calling a discard within like the first few rounds of going around, you're probably going to regret that later because you're locked in way too early, meaning you don't have flexibility of playing other lines if something happens with other tiles being thrown out. So don't commit too early. Be open-minded about the card.
Okay, I'm going to ask a wacky question for someone who doesn't know how to play, but I'd love to jump to the end game. What is your one advanced tip that instantly improves someone's game?
My advanced tip. try to play lines that you wouldn't normally go for. So, meaning everybody tends to gravitate towards a certain section. And this year I told myself I am really going to try hard not to gravitate towards those sections. So if I'm playing with like friends, so not in a competitive environment would I
Yeah.
do this, but if I'm playing with friends or I'm playing online, which I actually love playing online. I'm not normally an online girly, but I love marking. So like my card this year, I'm marking like a dot next to every line that I've won.
Oh, I
Like,
like that. That's so
Oh,
cool.
yeah. So it shows me two things. It shows me, okay, which sections am I gravitating towards or are easier? And it is kind of statistically speaking, like consecutive run is actually where most people win. And I've
Yeah.
basically won all of those hands.
Okay.
So
wow.
it just kind
Okay.
of shows you like what sections are probably more statistically easier to get, but also which ones are you not tending to
Trying.
go for. And like let's try to train our brain to think in a little bit different of a pattern. So like I always gravitate towards consecutive run and any like numbers, like love those
Yeah.
sections. Odds, I have such a hard time in the odds section. So I'm really trying to like, okay, if I see odds and I get I'm dealt a lot of odd numbers, let me try to really focus and hone in on those. And I think that would make you a better player, just trying to train your brain.
I
And
love
so,
that. So you kind
On
of
you,
can go and make sure you trying like all the line. It's like visiting every state in the US. It's like your
yeah,
personal challenge.
yeah, I mean, I think it's good because it gets you out of your comfort zone. We're like, we tend to
Yeah.
go towards the same section. So yeah,
I love that.
yes.
yeah. I don't know. Just retrain your brain. And
So
because even the most experienced players will say, like, I love this section. The problem is if you're playing with the same group all the time, they're going to kind of know that, you're gravitating towards these two sections. So I think it's good to be open-minded.
And I think at the end, like everybody's excited to see what everybody's working on. I've noticed that. I don't know if that's everywhere, but
Their tiles
yeah.
are
And then it's like when somebody actually was able, like a lot of it's luck, to kind of get a more interesting line. It's like, oh my God, that's so cool. You actually got news and like the wins.
yeah,
And yeah, so it is kind of it makes it kind of fun. Yeah.
it is. It
Yeah.
is. And I think we all learn from each other too, right? Like, oh, I was playing
Yeah.
this line and I was like one away. You had that tile, so I would never have been able to win, or things like that. So
Yeah.
it's
Very
So
cool.
just a real quick question. Like when I play tennis, I like to play with a better player, but a better player also prefers to play with a better player, which makes it a little complicated. Do you have that with Mahjong where you like to play with, I know you like to play with different players for different reasons, but
Mhm.
some are clearly better than others. Is
Yeah.
there that kind of, I don't want to say barrier, but that kind of thought process in Mahjong as well?
Yeah, I think Mahjong though has more flexibility in playing with different skill levels.
Interesting.
Because you don't have that physical aspect, like the physical ability
Okay.
aspect. So as long as you know the basic rules and the basic flow of the game, you could play with an experienced player. I will say, if you are trying to keep up, if you want to play with a more experienced player, the key we always say is keep the pace of the game. So like
Uh,
I would say around 30 seconds to make a decision is probably like
oh,
a
those people that take too long.
Yes.
yeah. So if you're like a really good player and people are playing at this, like, you kind of just want to keep the pace. So if you're a new player
Okay.
playing with experienced players, I just say, okay, nobody has to know if you're a good player or not. Fake it till you make it. Yeah,
Do
I always say
something.
fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it. And don't say like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a new player. Like nobody needs to know that. And just pick like this is what I would tell you not to do to be a better player, but pick a line. If you're a brand new player, just pick a line and just pick
Wing
up
it.
the card and try to get that
Just
line.
keep going.
Because if you can't hit it and, like, you're going to be taking too long. And so that's probably the most frustrating thing I think for an experienced player to play with a new player. Obviously if you're friends, you're more like forgiving with that. But if you're trying to just like socialize and keep up, pick a line, keep the pace of the game. If everyone's playing about 30 seconds for pickup and discards, just try to keep that pace. And while other people are playing, think about what your next move is. Don't just, wait until it's your turn and then think
Got it.
about it. So take advantage of that time that other people are playing.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got
and I think that you do, to your point, do have to read the other players, right? And so like I played last week, you know, kind of like my third time this year, and everybody was like, and everybody was kind of a different level, from like kind of a beginner to like myself, and the other two were a little more experienced. But everybody was like super chatty and wanted to socialize and like no big deal. So it was super fun, and we played a bunch of games. And but then I played with other groups, and they're like serious. Like one girl came with her like quarters. I was like, quarters? Wait, what's that?
Yeah,
Like
money.
I've never done that before.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I think you have to like kind of read the room and see who you're playing
Find
with.
your audience.
And then, well, find your, but it's fun to play with different types, because I think you learn the options, right? And what can be, and then maybe what you prefer. So it's kind of like pickleball, right? It's like, do you want to play like super competitive and like get the ball slammed at you, or do you want to play in a more social group? So
Exactly.
so yeah, but
really good about just reading. And, you know, I think the way you show up at the table is really important, because people will, whether you're invited back or not, that says a lot. It says whether they enjoyed playing with you or not. So
Ooh, the stigma to
yeah.
that.
you'd be surprised. I
Uh-oh.
mean, some people like will, you know, if they like playing faster, and you know, the table might want to socialize a little more, and you know, they feel like some aggression in terms of trying to go faster. I mean, they'll probably not necessarily want you back next time in terms of playing with their. So, you know, there's something for everybody. You just have to find your group.
You
But
have to find your
something for
people.
everybody.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
But I mean, I think for the most part in our club, people are very, for like we always say, this is fun first. It's a game. Let's not take
I
ourselves
love
too
that.
seriously,
Yeah, that's
including our
right.
league. Yeah.
So was there, if you can recall, like the biggest risk that maybe you've ever taken that sort of paid off? Because it's kind of hard. Like you do, it's a lot of risk taking, right? You're like, okay, I got to give up this, and I'm going to try for that, and like crossing your fingers. Is there
Yeah.
anything that stands out, or maybe not?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, so I always tell players the safer hands are the ones made up of pungs and kongs and multiples. So, Ricky, this is like where the language comes. Like a single is one tile, a pair is two identical tiles. A pung, three of a kind, three identical tiles is called a pung. And we say like three peas in a pod, pung.
Love it.
And then Kong is four identical tiles. And we say King Kong has four paws. Kong is four identical tiles. There's something called five tiles, which is a quint. And there's not five identical tiles other than flowers and jokers. So a quint is made up of with a joker included. And then a sextet, which is like a new on this year's card. They didn't have it on last year's card, which is six identical tiles. And we usually do that with flowers because there's 8 of them.
Right.
So I always say to people, if you want to play it safe, go for lines with pungs and kongs. So like there's a line, which is my favorite line in consecutive runs. So at the fourth one down, it's pung, pung, kong, kong, meaning I can use a joker. So for someone that doesn't play Mahjong, you can never use a joker in a single, a pair, or grouping of singles, meaning like a run of something like 1, 2, 3, 4, or new, NEWS. So you can't use a joker in those groupings. So if you want to play it safe, go for groupings of like pung pung kong kong, or things that are made up of those. I will sometimes play lines where I am hoping I get that pair. And if that's the last thing you're waiting for to win Mahjong, and you have everything else and you've exposed most of your line, but you're waiting for that pair and all the numbers that you need to make that pair go down,
You're done.
like you've lost the game, your hand is dead. So that's where like, does the risk pay off? When I'm like, sometimes I'm like feeling a little more risky. I'm like, you know, I'm gonna hope that I get that pair.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna bank on it and hope no one else is. Then that's when it pays off. But yeah, so I guess I'm answering your question broadly. I feel like when you're playing pairs and groupings of singles, and you don't have them when you leave the Charleston, you're playing where that risk is, but sometimes it pays off when you win Mahjong and sometimes it doesn't. So
Yeah. And there's
yeah.
so many pairs in this new card. I kind of don't like that.
And people
I
are also saying the flowers are tricky this year because most of the flowers are pairs, or pungs. So last year there were more different groupings of flowers. So
okay,
even
yeah.
one card, people are discarding them
Hmm.
all early, or they're hoarding them because you need to make these two pungs.
Yes.
There's like groupings of two pungs or a sex set of
Yeah.
flowers.
Yes.
So
So what
it's a
about
little
in
new,
terms?
Ricky. You're probably like, what is going
Yeah, it's
on?
okay. She's gonna get to it though. It's good to hear it the first time because you're not supposed to understand. You're not supposed to understand it yet. So is there anything like is there the funniest thing you've ever seen like happen at a mahjong table? Is there anything that you're just like, oh my God?
I mean, it's funny. We like when we teach, sometimes people, we had somebody at a retreat that whenever they played, they always picked up and discarded left instead of right, meaning the direction was wrong. And they're like, we've been playing this way for like 4 years. I was like, well, that's not the way to play. You always play right. But I was like, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's like
That's
at the
great.
same time, you're still like playing, or
Yeah.
instead of birdie bam cheers, you do that, Brenda?
I've never
Or do
heard
you
that.
have,
What's that?
oh, okay. So like when you put down the one bam, which
Yeah.
is that solo tile, it's a common house rule in American Mahjong. When you put the one bam down, you cheers to it. So you say like,
Oh.
you just like take a drink and everyone cheers. So it's a little bit of a drinking game, I guess.
Oh, I like that. We need to
Yeah.
add
So
that.
birdie bam, you put it down, you go birdie bam, cheers, and everyone cheers.
That's
So
awesome. I love it. I
it's,
love it. So you're always
no,
learning something
you
new.
have
This
to
is
do
great.
it. It's so fun. But there is a group in the South that they said that in their group, they, instead of saying birdie bam cheers, they like actually say, like use like different bird sounds. So they'll be like, caw when they do this, like cheers. And it just cracked me up because every time they did it, they would all, it was just funny.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it.
Have
Perfect.
to have fun with it, right?
Great. What about, let's talk a little bit about like the cognitive benefits. Ricky, do you want to go into those questions?
Well, I already know what the cognitive benefits are. I mean, it's pretty it's pretty
Well, but
obvious.
I think there's like some scientific like proof, right, Jamie? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they say with the short term memory, it's really good because you have to remember what people are picking up and discarding. And so that really helps like the brain to recognize patterns too.
Hmm.
I will say, just like personal antidote, my Chinese grandmother, she unfortunately passed away a couple months ago, but she is 102. She was 102 when she passed, and she was playing mahjong. We played in February, and her memory was going. So it's interesting because they say short-term memory, but her memory was going. And when she played mahjong, though, she was so sharp. She won
Wow.
3 or 4 games we played together. It just, I think a lot of it has to do with like playing mahjong. Like her brain was just really sharp in other ways. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I I think it's that's also why I do like that the National Mahjong League card comes out once a year, because I think it helps us retrain our brain in terms of
Yes.
rewiring it, I guess.
That's
So
so
Um,
cool.
speaking of the cards, is it almost like you're, I'm going to use it in quotes, relearning the game together every year? Because it seems like the cards are slightly different from year to year in terms of what a winning hand is. And I kind of like that because it evens the playing field a little bit, but it also helps retrain your brain, as we were just
yeah,
discussing, which I think
actually,
is very
that's a good
cool.
question. That's a good question because I forget, like, sometimes when you do something so long, you forget what
Yes.
seemed, yeah. Okay, so that is a good question because every time we teach someone, I'm like, oh, there's a new card every year. And they're like, oh my God, I have to learn this new card. Okay, so yes and no. Yes, it's new. So all the lines are new. So there's 70-ish lines, new
Whoa.
lines a year, which make over 1,000 winning combinations. So there's 70 lines, but they make over 1,000 combinations, meaning one line could have like 10 different variations that you could play. And so the sections are pretty much the same every year. So there's 9 sections. There is the year. So this year on the right side of, or sorry, the left side of the cards, 2026. Then the even section. So you play with all even numbers.
Right.
And
Wow.
any numbers. So any number in all three different suits you could play. And then there's a quince section. Then there is a consecutive run section. Then there's an odds section. Then there's a wins and dragons section. There's a 3-6-9 section and a singles and pairs. Every year, those headers are the same except the
Oh,
year.
interesting.
So the
Okay.
year next year will be 2027.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is cool, which I didn't mention, is anyone can submit lines to the National Mahjong League for it to possibly be on the card next year.
Oh, that's cool.
You can write into the National Mahjong League and say, hey, I think this line would be cool for, and they'll review all the lines and your line could be. So the sections are the same. The patterns in each section are different. So really, like when you get dealt your 13 tiles in the deal, I always tell people it's the most overwhelming when you get dealt the 13 tiles and you're like, how am I deciding over 1,000 combinations which line? That is the hardest part of the game.
Wow.
It's dealt 13 tiles and you have to decide which line or which area am I going to start narrowing down to. You're looking for high level patterns. You're looking like, bird's eye view. How am I going to like narrow down? And so I'm looking at, do I have more evens? Do I have more odds? Do I have a lot of numbers, like the same number, but in different suits?
Right.
Do I have a lot of wins? Do I have like a run of something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, maybe I'm in consecutive run. So there's these patterns that you start being able to narrow down in. And so if you've played multiple years, you're probably better at that, like being able to narrow down quicker. But I always say to people, the first half of the year is a good time for a new person to play because everyone's still getting familiar with this new card. So we're a little slower. The experienced players are a little slower, still learning the card too.
Right. Awesome. So let's switch gears a little bit because I know Mahjong really has been known for building friendships. So I want to get your perspective on that.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a neutralizer. You meet people that you wouldn't normally necessarily meet. So like, as a stay-at-home mom, before this, I was just meeting people through my kids' schools, like moms that through the kids' schools. And that's a little bit more of a forced friendship too, right? Like you don't necessarily have like a common thread.
Yes.
You're hopefully looking for that. And I'm friends with obviously a lot of moms from the school, but at a mahjong table, you're talking more in-depth conversations because you're sitting down for 2-hour games and you're able to find some sort of commonality beyond maybe just kids. So if you don't have kids, you can also easily hold in the mix, right? Or if you're not married versus you're married, or I have to say, like living in this town, there's a lot of different socioeconomic, levels. And I feel like it really evens the playing field. Like no one really cares about any of that stuff.
Yeah, I love that.
So the friendship is genuine and it feels like just like a deep friendship if you play with people like over and over.
I love that. And have you seen lives change because people joined a Mahjong group that way? Or
I will say my life has personally changed because
yeah.
we were thinking about moving actually.
Oh, wow.
I felt like I had a hard time like connecting. I don't know. I had a hard time. I had two of my best friends lived here and they moved due to their husband's jobs. And I kind of felt like I had to start all over meeting like good friends. And as an adult, it's like really hard. It's like really hard to meet people. So when I met Emily, my business partner, in a Mahjong class, so four of my just four moms that I knew from like my kids' schools signed up with me and they were sitting at a different table. And so my one other friend and me had to sit at another table. And that's where I met Emily, who's my business partner now, through a Mahjong class. And it shows you.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. So it's just, my life has changed because of Mahjong. I would not be here. I probably would have moved to another town. It's like it's been the best thing for me.
Oh,
So
I love that. So I love that Mahjong kind of covers all generations and the connectivity. And I'm just wondering if you feel that Mahjong does feel a need for connection that many adults are missing today, regardless of what life stage you're at.
yeah, I mean, I think it's such a common ground for whoever's sitting at the table, whether that be generational. You know, you see a lot of at our events, we have people from like 20s up to 80s playing together.
I love
And
it.
so
Or hundreds with your grandmother.
Right.
I know if she knew how to drive, she probably would get to one of those events.
There are self-driving cars now. My friend
I
just
know.
upgraded her Tesla to self-driving and she's driving all over the country.
Gosh, wow. That's gonna be life changing. My grandmother never learned how to drive, so
Oh, okay. Well,
interesting. And yeah, and so I think the table like really just like neutralizes whatever differences you have. It's like something common that everybody has at the table. Um, and we find that that is been such a good start for budding relationships because you have this really like deep conversation over a table. And I do think four is always like the magic number too. If you have anything bigger than that, it's really hard to have like a meaningful conversation. If it's just two people, it's like a lot of pressure for one person that might be more of an introvert. Um, and it's that accountability factor. You're seeing each other week to week. So yeah, it really is a great means to forming a new relationship, especially like as an adult where it might be harder, like you're not in school or you don't necessarily
Absolutely.
working with the same person. So it's yeah, it's a good.
I love that. And three is always a bad number with women. So
I know
it was-
someone left out.
you're funny.
how do you think that social media has influenced the game?
Yeah, I mean, social media is so interesting because it probably impacts really anything that we consume these days. I mean, I know I'm online scrolling and I probably buy half the things that have targeted.
Exactly. We all do.
Like it really knows me very well. But I think it's probably reached a younger generations too, that maybe would not have played. But
Mhm.
also I think with all the pretty sets, so there's like kind of this aesthetic part too that's just like so beautiful to look at. So people are also like consuming that when they're looking at social media. I think learning the rules and things like that are more accessible. Like there's a lot of content out there about, you know, tips and tricks and strategies. I think social media also helps promote like the events and the social aspect of the
Mhm,
game.
mhm.
It might be hard to like find that online. There's more of a sharing aspect to the social media outlets. So I think it's helped spread this game quicker. I think it probably would have gotten back to us eventually, but like
I
it's just
agree.
definitely
Yeah,
there.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking about the the games and the accessories and the beautiful mats, I mean, they're gorgeous. I mean, I feel like I played when I played the last week, it was this on this beautiful, gorgeous floral mat. I was like, this is so beautiful. I'm like, where'd you get that? And then I went online looking and to me it feels like a tablescape, right? Like there are endless ways. You know, you can eat off a paper plate, you can eat off of your like Italian ceramic, you know, dinnerware, you can eat off fine china. I feel like it's that kind of parallel where you can get your cheap basic one, you know, wherever, or you can spend on these rare, like I saw these pearlized, hand painted. I was like, oh my God, I need that set. I don't even play, but I feel enough. But I feel like if I owned,
Maybe more if you maybe
what's
you'd play more if you owned
well,
that
I was
set.
just gonna say, if I owned a beautiful set, I would definitely have people over. It's like when you get new dinnerware, new tablescape, like you definitely want to entertain. Like, so
Mhm.
I do think it helps kind of elevate, which is kind of what we're, you know, all about. We want to make the everyday special. So, and
Mhm.
as you pointed out, you know, these women are, you know, with the jewelry and the manicure, like, don't you want to do that with a nice, pretty mat? Like, so anyway, but tell me like about the culture. How has it really changed the culture of the game. I mean, I'm just drawn to the aesthetic. I don't know
Yeah.
the game that great, but I'm like, the aesthetic's going to make me want to do it more. But
I know.
just the culture in general, how is all of this? It's kind of been blown out. I know you guys have like 50 different gorgeous sets that you bring to your
I know.
events. And
I mean, it's definitely come full circle, right? So the traditional sets, they were more simple, and actually people used to love the flowers. Like historically, flowers, and even today, flowers and jokers, and I had read this somewhere, were where a lot of the artists had a lot of flexibility in those
okay.
tiles, because they didn't have to be identical, or they just had more flexibility. So like sometimes you'll see even on older sets, the flowers and the jokers were a lot more creative. And so even to this day, a lot of people say flowers are my favorite because they're so beautiful. They're so,
They are.
really pretty. And so that tradition probably has stayed consistent. The flowers are a lot of people's favorite tiles, not more because of the aesthetic part of it. Will I say that we've gotten a little crazy with the accessories? Yes, but like any hobby, I feel like when you are genuinely passionate about something, you want every little detail. So like will say mahjong seems so expensive these days, but I'm like, well, if you're really into golf, you are going to get all the best clubs and all the best gear, right? So mahjong, how is that any different? Buying 10 mats and 10 different tile sets, because it's your hobby, it's your passion
Yeah.
playing. So there are things that like you need and don't need. And I will always tell a new player, like, you don't need shufflers, you don't need a line finder, or like a lot of these accessories are a little bit maybe excessive.
Okay.
Um, but you know, if you want to invest in like a cheaper set on Amazon, you can probably buy, I think my first set was from Amazon, it was $60, and it included the racks
Wow.
and tiles. So you can get started, on a more reasonably priced set. And then if you want to zhuzh it up, buy a cute mat, just a cute mat that will be more colorful and the tiles will pop.
Yeah.
But you really don't need a lot to invest in terms of starting to play. But it is fun to invest in like tile sets that are beautiful, because you're spending hours, playing. So
Yeah. And it's fun to look at.
yeah, it's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun.
So are there any trends that you're most excited about that's maybe coming up or that we haven't discussed
Trends.
in Mahjong or
Yeah, I mean, I think I keep coming back to wanting to build this community.
okay.
And so we do work with like a lot of other small businesses. Will often reach out to us saying, can we collaborate in some sort of way? So we've like collaborated with local fitness studios,
Oh,
um,
that's cool. I like that.
profit work. So I don't know if that's necessarily a trend, but it helps promote like small businesses, and like it's something that a lot of people are drawn to, and it helps promote awareness about other things that people might not have gone to if mahjong wasn't part of it, if that makes sense.
Oh,
So we do a
interesting.
lot of nonprofit events, right? And people are like, I will buy that table for $500 to play mahjong, but like I don't know if it would have brought as much awareness otherwise.
Yeah, that
So
makes
I'm
sense.
glad we're doing it for good too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I
Yeah.
know you talked about the younger generations embracing, and maybe talk a little bit about, do you know, like, how is it connecting the generations? I mean, you talked a little about yourself and your grandmother. Are you finding a lot of like mother-daughters playing, or talk about
Yes.
that a little bit?
I mean, I think the reason I even got into it is because I remember seeing as a child my grandmother playing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like our kids are starting to see mothers playing. And it's so funny. All my friends, when we go out, they're like, oh, mommy's playing Mahjong again. Like they just know that that's something we do to take care of ourselves. And I think it's good to have your kids realize like, it's important to have human connection, friendships, and that we're taking time out for ourselves to do something good. But then they're so interested too about wanting to learn about these tiles, and they think it's like, they're doing such an adult thing by learning how to play. My daughter does play an abbreviated version. She's 6.
Oh, she does? There's like a kiddie
A little
version?
hard, I think, is to, and there is like there are cards that are mini major cards that have simplified lines that you can play with your kids. But we just play
That's
more.
cool.
Yeah, there's like different ways to play. So we play more like 4 pungs, so four sets of 3 identical tiles and then a
Mhm.
pair. And so then she knows when to use jokers. She can use them in the pungs, but she can't use it in the pair. So we just kind of say whatever you form, and we don't use a card. So maybe more Hong Kong style,
I
but
like it, just to start
yeah,
learning.
get familiar with the
Amazing.
tiles. Yeah.
Love that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
If someone's listening and decides to learn Mahjong after this episode, hopefully, what's the first thing that you would encourage them to do?
So I
Other
would,
than buy the card.
yeah.
Which Ricky has done. Check mark.
Yeah. And like you said, Ricky, it took a while. It's taking a while to get to, and that is
Yes.
because I think the National Mahjong League probably has the same small little operation of people. Like you can't. I don't even think you can email them. Like you usually
Right.
call. People say when they call, like they never get a response back. It's like a very small, organization. So order the card before you even take a lesson because it will take a little while to get to. And this card you will have for like the whole year. So it's
Okay.
$14. It's the first thing I tell people. If you're even slightly interested, just order the card now. And then I would recommend, if you really want to like learn, sign up for a class. You can Google, go on Instagram, find somebody local to you, reach out to me, and I probably know somebody in your area that I think in person, like anything, is probably the best way to learn. Or just a very patient friend that would help you, walk you through how to play a game. And or shadowing like a friend while they're playing. I think once you watch somebody else play, you start picking up on little cues. So that's probably where I would start if I was new. I,
Cool.
I do like this one online app. So I do tell people, if you don't have an opportunity to play with people regularly, my favorite online app is ilovemaj.com. And they have a version of the app that you can switch to like it basically is a guide. So when you're dealt the 13 tiles, it'll tell you these are like the 4 or 5 lines you should consider playing, and these are how many tiles you are away from that line.
Oh, that's cool.
It
Oh,
helps train your brain reading that pattern. So I will say I always play that the first month almost every day to get familiar with the card, and it's like the best way to learn quickly.
wow.
Love that.
So Mahjong survived wars, cultural change, generations, feast, famine, everything. Why do you think it's endured for so long?
I mean, it's a different game versus some other games that you might have seen out there because it has so much rich history. There's like over
Mhm.
40 different versions, and each
Oh, wow.
has its own little variations. So like there's Japanese, like Richi, there's different, even Chinese. I was saying Chinese Mahjong loosely, but there's different variations within China too. And they're almost like a little cultural like language between different areas. And I think it really like ties heritage, it ties people together, it uses your brain, it just has all the components that people want to keep coming back to this game, unlike other things that are like more trendy. This game has
Mhm.
rich history. So I think it'll endure for a long time.
So interesting.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go into a little what we like to do towards the end of our interview, a little rapid fire round of questions. So just like, a couple word answer. If it's a sentence, that's fine. So let's start with, what is your favorite tile? If you had to pick
Favorite
one.
style. I think flowers are just beautiful.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
How about your least favorite tile?
Least favorite tile. I don't know if I have a least favorite tile, but I do think the wins get overlooked. If people that have played, they'll know what I'm saying, but in the
Yeah,
trials, always get passed.
makes sense. And
Yeah.
what is your favorite hand that you played this year so far?
I love that 4th line in consecutive run. It's like a pung pung kong kong because you can use jokers in any part of that
Yes,
line.
that's very helpful. If you get those jokers, right?
Sure.
Do you have a least favorite hand?
The odds section in general, I've always just had a hard time. I
Okay.
think it's just so many numbers. It's so many numbers and so many numbers you have to collect. So it's harder to pivot into a different section if you've collected all of them.
Okay. Good tip.
And what's your biggest beginner mistake?
Probably committing too early. I still do it sometimes because I get too excited about the line.
Oh, interesting. And this is really important. What's your favorite Mahjong snack?
I don't know if you ever had those bonbon. That's the brand bonbon sourfish. They're so
Ooh.
yeah, they're really good, and we put them out for a lot of our retreats, but people love them.
Okay, side note on snacks. Okay, do you have to like pick the snacks that don't get you don't want to get your like gorgeous tiles and mat like messy.
I
We need to talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
'Cause
People are very they have strong feelings about that. Yeah, we try to pick snacks that are like popcorn, things that aren't too yeah, like
Greasy, sticky, messy.
no
Got it.
Garrett's cheese popcorn.
yeah.
Probably doesn't even know what that is. That's a Chicago thing.
You're definitely
Okay, so I think we might have already answered this. Coffee, wine, or cocktails at Mahjong night? I guess it's always white wine, right? If you're doing wine.
I always love an Aperol spritz, and then I switch to like a spindrift, like some sort of water, like
Okay.
Yeah, nice. Like it.
Favorite Mahjong saying?
mahjong.
Ah, of course.
Okay, and if you had a theme song, what would it be?
I was trying to think of that, and I was like, it would be some sort of metaphor to life because mahjong it has the most metaphors to actual life than like anything else.
Wow.
And I'm trying to be short about it, but I think the game people also love so much because you're dealt a hand, like in life, you're dealt a hand that you might not like. Some people have a better hand than others, and you have to figure out kind of just like your path and like where you're gonna go. And you
Wow.
have to work with other people and like figuring it out. Um, and I think it's such a metaphor for life when you play and you think about that, it's like very beautiful.
Love that.
Oh
Love
my
that.
God, I'm like crying. I love that so much. It's amazing. So,
So
do you prefer a traditional Mahj set or a custom colorful one if you had to pick your go-to?
I yeah, I've come full circle. I kind of had a moment where I was into these like fun, colorful sets, but I'm like coming back to the traditional. I think it's just like I've had such more of an appreciation for the history of the game that
Yeah,
I feel very drawn to like the more traditional sets.
excellent. So, if you could sit down with Mahjong players from 1925, what do you think would surprise them the most about today's way of playing and just the game in general in 2026?
I bet you we would find something very common at the table because that type of game, they would probably be like, what are all these accessories? Like, whoa, like what is this shuffler? Like the things we've actually stopped using them, but I did a post about this. But American Mahjong, they have these shufflers that remind me of salad tongs.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that online. Yeah.
Yeah, but we actually decided as a club to completely get rid of them because they're rough on the tiles, but like it's not traditional. It's not traditionally used. So we call when you turn your tiles over and shuffle, we call that washing the tiles. So you wash the tiles and you do it with your hands and you do it for a few seconds, and that's a moment of pause between games so you can catch up and talk, and that's like the best part of the game. So why are we doing
Faster.
yeah, it's like
I get it.
Love
so
that. Love that. Oh my gosh. I loved all of this so much. Thank you, Jamie, for sharing your incredible, truly incredible insight and knowledge. And really, today's conversation reminds us that Mahjong is so much more than matching tiles. I mean, it's a game rooted in so much history and it's sharpened by its strategy, so much tradition, and it's really sustained by community that is so important in any life stage. And speaking of community, we love all of our listeners, and we know so many of you has been asking. You've been asking, when's our next event? And we are in the process of planning a really special Mahjong event in the fall. So if you
Yay.
can't get to playing too much right now because of the beautiful summer weather, everybody wants to be outside as much as possible. We've got you covered once fall hits. So stay connected and keep listening. And we can't wait to share all those details. And really, whether you're curious about learning your first hand or you've been playing for years, it seems like there really is always something new to discover around the Mahjong table. So thank you so much, Jamie. You're really incredible.
Thank
And
you, Brenda and Ricky. That was so fun.
thank you. And remember to join our Besties Inner Circle. The link is in the show notes. And keep checking back on the show notes and our Chatterbox Besties link on bio on Instagram. We're working with some fun discounts to share with you on Mahjong tiles, mats, and accessories. So please stay tuned. And if you did enjoy today's episode, I mean, honestly, who couldn't? You're amazing, Jamie. Please leave us a review. It helps people discover the show. And if you haven't already, make sure you follow us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss an episode.
Thank you again, Jamie. And thank you all so much for listening to Chatterbox Besties with Brenda and Ricky and for being part of our Bestie Circle. And do share this episode with a friend who just might be your next Mahjong bestie. We love you all. Thank you so much, Jamie. You are incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you soon. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.
Hi there. This podcast is purely for entertainment purposes. We're your besties sharing our perspectives with you.